Have you ever heard something you couldn't explain? Something that sent a chill down your spine, prickles on the back of your neck? Have you ever had that gut feeling that something isn't right, but you can't quite put your finger on why? Okay, here's an easier one. Have you ever received a phone call from an unknown number? Hi, I'm Abigail Green, writer, artist, and periodical investigator of the paranormal. If you answered yes to any of those questions, then I think you're going to want to hear this story.
Well, who is it? Come on.
Hello there.
Hello, love. You alright?
I hope you are having a pleasant day.
Yep.
I was hoping to speak with someone.
Well, here I am.
Yes.
You still there, love?
Yes, I am, love.
Yeah, you're alright, aren't you? You're a laugh.
Yes, we are making each other laugh.
So, what's this all about then? You working the late shift, are ya? Ah, yeah. Crap. I know the feeling.
It's all about you.
Eh?
That is what this is all about. It's all about you.
What's it you want?
How would you rate your experience?
What experience? Someone tell you I've been down the pub?
That's right.
Suppose I've been down a lot lately.
You like to drink, don't you, Nina?
What do you mean by that?
You said it yourself.
That's pretty rude.
Have you noticed?
Eh?
Have you noticed? It's gotten worse.
The drinking?
Your experience.
Hello, listener. Me again. Abby, if you don't remember. Don't worry, I'm really bad at names. I understand that this recording is lacking a lot of context, and that lack of backstory may be masking some of the true strangeness of the conversation. After all, we've all received telemarketing calls like this at some point, I'm sure. An automated, soulless voice asking vague questions, trying to keep us on the line for reasons either nefarious or banal. But what if I told you this call didn't happen inside someone's home, but from a public phone box? That raises a few more questions, doesn't it? Questions like, how did the caller know to ring when Nina was walking past? And how on earth did this automated voice know Nina's name? The closer you look, the more you know about the circumstances under which this conversation took place, the stranger things get. I do, however, have a small confession to make before we carry on. What you have just listened to is not a real recording. What you just heard were two very talented actor friends of mine reenacting a call from a transcript of a real incident that reportedly happened in Nottinghamshire in 1982. That's right, 1982. Long before everyone was plugging their contact details into every webpage, just at the nexus of automated calls and phone scams. The call was made from an unknown location to a phone box in my hometown and picked up by a passerby. I've not tampered with the log in any way other than changing names to protect privacy. If we are to believe that this transcript is accurate, then every word you just heard was spoken by both parties. This strange encounter was not a random one-off either. The fact is, dozens of people seem to have received similar phone calls across a 20-year period, all at that same phone box. Though, if you asked around the small town where I was born, you wouldn't have thought that that many people had been affected, considering how few of the folks I spoke to had anything to say. So you've heard of this before?
Well, I think it's normal for stories like that to kick around a place like this. Can't say I've heard that one too much before, though, no.
Have you ever heard any stories about the telephone box?
Well, I've heard about people popping in for a quickie sometimes. Sorry, that's cheeky. Just joking. But nah, nothing spooky or nothing.
So, do you think there's any truth to it?
What, in a ghost story? I suppose it depends whether you believe that sort of stuff or not. I don't really. There's probably people around here that might. But, I might think about it now as I walk past.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you.
No, don't worry. It's nice to hear new things about this town at my age.
On the whole, most people seem to have a vague sense of what I was talking about. Some people had heard similar stories. Some people didn't really care if they'd heard it or not. But at times, you could sense people skirting the edge of paranoia. That there was something much bigger lurking under the surface of this story.
It's best not to be asking about the phone box.
Why not? Is it something you've heard?
Well, no, it's just not for polite conversation, I think.
Bit of rude behaviour, is it? Graffiti or something?
Not rude, sadder, really. But I'd rather not talk about it, if that's okay.
Of course. Sorry. How's Joe doing?
Oof, really? I'm surprised you want to make something about that. I wouldn't really want to, delve into it.
Yeah, it's all a bit creepy, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but also, it's hard to tell where things like that could lead.
Where do you think it could lead?
Well, I don't really want to think about it.
For reasons that have not yet become clear, the caller appears to have ceased their strange operation in the mid-2000s. We can date the calls by year via the dates written on one or two of the transcriptions of these calls, and some guesswork. How we came by the call logs is yet another bizarre part of this saga that we will get into later, I promise. But first, I think it's best if I explain where this all started for me. I grew up in a small town in the Midlands near Newark-on-Trent. In the interest of anonymity for myself and those connected to this story, it shall heretofore be known as Smallville. Fans of early noughties TV rejoice. There was not that much to do in Smallville, as some of our interviews may have hinted at. It's the type of place where the town council meets to discuss local traffic violations ad nauseum, where there's a market on a Saturday, and on Sundays the shops close promptly at 4 p.m. It's one of those quiet, safe little idyls where everyone knows everyone and rumours spread like wildfire. The story of the mysterious caller came to me the same way rumours often do, at a sleepover. I can't remember exactly when I first heard it, but I guess I must have been 12 or 13, maybe. Somewhat on the cusp of being too old to fall for scary stories, but filled with just enough childhood naivete to latch onto something slightly fantastical and creepy like this. I'm sure it stayed in the back of my mind enough that I would run past phone booths until a certain age, lest I hear them ring for me. Also, you have to remember, this was the 2000s, a time of brilliant sci-fi TV and dial-up internet. Nobody, not even teenagers, were that internet literate. I had neither the means nor the forethought to do my own research. So if someone told you something relating to local mythos or rumour, you'd sort of take it at face value. And this was the version of the story that I remember hearing at that sleepover and the full context of the call that we'd heard. So, there was this telephone box near the bus stop in our town. One of those old-fashioned cherry red ones that looks like it hasn't been touched in decades. The story was that if you walked past it at any time of the day or night, this was long before the internet's fascination with spooky things happening at 3 a.m. On rare occasions, it would ring. And if you picked it up, then a woman's voice, monotonous in tone, detached, possibly American, it depended on the teller, would ask you a series of questions. They would seem normal and harmless at first. But according to legend, the longer you stayed on the phone with her, the freakier things got. She would know things about you that a stranger could not know, and ask you questions no normal operator would. Some said that if you stayed on the phone with her long enough, she would tell you how you were going to die. Some insisted that once you heard her voice, it would stay with you. That something she said would make you so terrified, the only escape was to take your own life. One thing was clear though. You should not, under any circumstances, pick up the phone. And if you did accidentally find yourself in conversation with the voice, then you should hang up as soon as possible, lest the entity on the other end drive you to despair in whatever vague, evil way she was wont to do. So now you have the backstory. Let's listen back in to the call.
You said it yourself.
That's pretty rude.
Have you noticed?
Eh?
Have you noticed it's gotten worse?
The drinking?
Your experience.
I know what this is. Couldn't face me himself. Could he? The bastard.
He's with her. That bitch.
She's not...
It's not really his fault, is it?
Stop it! You can fuck right off.
Time is running out, Nina. It always does.
You'll be shocked to hear, I'm sure, that during my recent visit, even when I really dug my heels in during those interviews, no one in my town has seemingly ever been prophesied to about their death by a mysterious voice on the phone. There have been no local reports of possession by telemarketer, madness or suicide linked to a possible American voice coming out of a cherry red phone box by the bus stop. And I did properly, officially check in newspaper archives at the town library of all places. And of course, now that I'm a lot more savvy with it, our friend, the internet. There's nothing like that in the call logs either, though some of the content is alarming, bizarre, and bordering on outright cruel, as you've just heard. It's still nothing like the story I imagined when I first heard it as a kid. So, how did this grisly local legend come back into my life? And why am I talking about it now? Before I get into that, why don't we just take a break from this backstory and listen to another one of those calls, just so you get an idea of what the real experience was like.
Hello? Hello? Hi? Can you hear me?
Hello?
Oh. Yeah. Who's this?
I hope you are having a pleasant day.
Yeah. What do you want? Sorry, that's a bit rude. May I ask, what you're calling about?
I was hoping to speak with someone.
Right. Do they live nearby?
Where do you live?
Well, I live here.
Is that nearby?
I don't think I should tell you that. Sorry.
Why?
Well, I don't know, I don't know you. No offense, but stranger danger and all that, I guess.
Am I dangerous?
Sorry, is this a marketing thing? You're trying to sell me things? Like wine, insurance, or whatever? Just because I don't really have the money for stuff like that, so you might want to speak to someone else.
I want to speak to you.
Right, well, that's nice, but I'm actually on my way to school, so now's not the best time. Could you call another time?
No, we need to speak now.
Well, I don't think...
Don't leave.
I don't want to be late.
You're going to be early.
What?
You're going in early, aren't you? School doesn't start until 9, so you won't be late. They never walk with you, so you may as well go in early. Early, on time, late. What difference does it make? No one notices. It's not very nice, is it, April?
Creepy, right? Especially if you imagine this was supposed to be exactly what was actually said on that phone call. Were you starting to get the feeling that time? You know, there's something not quite right one. About a year ago, I was visiting my parents. I've been living in London since I was 18, so I never learned how to drive. And when I'm visiting my small Midlands hometown, I always have to take the bus to get about. And the closest bus stop to my childhood home, of course, just so happens to be the one next to the phone box. It seems strange to think about it now, but it's been years since I thought about that urban legend, whispered to me at that fateful sleepover, as the light from the big boxy television flickered on our faces. There was a time when, as I said, I sped up every time I walked past the phone box and tried to push the creeping thoughts of it from my brain before I went to sleep. It was mid-afternoon. It must have been around 4 p.m. The sun hadn't even started thinking about going down, but the street was overcast and quiet. Calm, really. And on that occasion, a year ago, when I rounded the corner and passed by the phone box, the phone just happened to let out 3 unmistakable rings. That was when it all came flooding back to me. The story, the myth, the legend, and that's when I knew I had to dive deeper into its origins and find some answers. I never would have guessed where it would lead me. And if I'd known then how much of my life for the next year would be devoted to it, I definitely would have thought twice about delving into it head first.
Well, yeah, but also, it's hard to tell where things like that could lead.
Where do you think it could lead?
Well, I don't really want to think about it.
As to what happened next on that day, whether or not I picked up that call, well, I suppose some answers are worth waiting around for. More about that next time on Telephone.